for analysis Thursday. Now, we have looked at a 3-part series on positively influencing our students. And in the first part, we looked directly at how it is that through our lesson planning, we can have positive influence over students. We did mention about how it is that you can, through your lesson planning, have an area in which the students know that you are motivating them. They also know that you are providing motivational clips and tips, things that you can use to influence your students. We also looked at normalizing mistakes, allowing your students to know that, hey, you can make mistakes. You have created that environment in your lesson plan, in your classroom, for your students to be able to know that they can relate to teacher, they can talk with teacher. We also looked at building a positive learning environment, and we did mention how it is that through team building, we are building the students as a team. We are aligning them to help them to be able to better work together. Because when they go out into the working world, they will have to work as a team. Even if it is going to be a virtual workplace as we're having it now, they will still need to coordinate and to work in teams to help them to understand how they can achieve the organization objectives. And so it begins in our classrooms. How are we doing that team building? We also looked at the class building approach. How do they gel as a class? How do they get to know each other in your space? Are you allowing that downtime for them in which they know that, okay, I have a 7 minutes period, a 5 minutes period in which I can talk with my classmates. I can get to understand the classmates around me. We also looked at role modeling and being cognizant. How, as the teacher, you are being cognizant, you are being that positive role model. And so as we analyze, you are given 6 tips over the 3-week, over the 3 series. How has it been for you? I would have received text messages. I would have received comments on YouTube, on the channel. I would have also received calls for teachers to say, or in person, thank you so much for sharing those tips. And they're better able to plan appropriately for their students. And I'm sure that if you're watching, it would definitely mean then that it would have been helping you to a great extent. And if it is not helping you, it means that you have not implemented it properly, or you have not utilized it as how you should. You still have time, because these are tips that are going to build you over a period of time. These are tips that will last you for a lifetime, for your professional career. I always say to when I used to be in the teacher college, the teacher training institution, training teachers, I always say to them, students, what you get here from the textbook, it's not really what happens when you go out there in the classroom. I say to teachers when they come in new and I have to relate to them, what you learned at school about what you should do, how you should relate to students, it is not what happens in the real world. It is going to be something that is totally different, something that will shift you off your feet. How are you going to respond? And let me say this, for our novice teachers, neophyte teachers, beginning teachers, you are starting off your career and you're in the classroom now, you are going to be faced with challenges. A lot of the things you don't know, it's not said, because it's not like it is hidden somewhere, but it's because it doesn't come in the textbooks. And sometimes we find that persons who impart knowledge are not, sometimes they would have had experience in the school systems, sometimes they don't. And so what they bring across to you, you may not go out there and see it. I have students who have gone and teaching practicum, and they say, Miss, I saw the classroom, I saw teaching really set up. Yes, that is how it is set up. That is how it is. This is the real world. There are going to be situations that you're going to have to go down on your knees. There are going to be situations where no book has anything, but how you make your mark as a teacher says something about you from the very first day. And so I always say to teachers, you remember when you go into the classroom, sometimes you are the only teacher or school may be the only place where that student smile. I share with you while we were doing Strategy Sunday Live that I had a student, when I said to him, "Why are you always like this?" He turned to me and he said, "Miss, this is the only place in the classroom that I can behave like a child." And so, educators, it means that you have to be doing something differently. These millennials are different. When we were going to high school, we would not dare do some things that they are doing now. How are you going to combat that? Classroom management, planning, strategizing. You cannot wait until you get to the class. You're going to say, "All right, maybe let me do this." No, plan ahead, because that is why I mentioned to you in the first time, when the first in our series, the first series, when I did say to you, you have to plan ahead of time. You cannot wait until you get into the classroom. That's when you are planning. Jot down, what are you going to do? What is the topic? What are the activities? What are so? Have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, even a plan D, because you are going to need to apply them. And listen, you can't fumble up. You can't be shipping all over. You have to do it in such a way that your students know that, hey, Miss have command or Sir has command of the classroom. And it comes by your influence. When you go the first time to the class, set the tone right. Don't ever think that, okay, I'm just going to give them a blight today. No, set the tone right. And then when you set the tone right and you get them to be doing, right? Remember, you command respect. You don't demand it. Never ever for a moment that, okay, I'm going to demand their, I'm going to say, look, listen, you have to. No, you are setting the tone in such a way that you command their respect. You command their attention. They know that they need to come up to your level and not the other way around. And so when we mention about being cognizant and being a role model, here it is that I was saying, you don't need to bully them. You don't need to threaten them. You don't need to bribe your students. You don't need to say, okay, if you behave yourself, you're going to get this. No. Set the tone right and get them going. And so as we do our analysis over the 3-part series, as we look back at the tips, what have you done correctly? What is working for you? And remember, teachers, you can always shift and turn your thing. Shift and turn it, because maybe what I am sharing with you, when you go to your classroom, all right, I may give you a suggestion, maybe that won't work with them. Try something else. But these are researched aspects. These are researched strategies and techniques that definitely work in any classroom. But again, teachers, you have to put it to your context. So yes, I mentioned team building. I mentioned people hunt for class building. Maybe you can do something else. Maybe it is that you're going to tailor it to your content. So you're a social studies teacher. Do it a different way. Maybe you're a food and nutrition teacher. Do it a different way. A math teacher, fit it into your context. So you want to essentially be twisting and turning these concepts. And that's how you get excellent teachers. A lot of the things that I do in my classroom, it is, you're right, Miss Blythe, yes. Thank you too for watching now and coming on, right? But a lot of the things that a lot of the things that I do in my classroom, I never just get up one day, educators, and just do it. It is something that I have been practicing over a period of time. And as I learn, I unlearn. So I mentioned to you in one of the series, when we were going to teachers' colleges, yeah? When we know that our assessors are coming, we try to bribe the students, right? That is the only day for some persons, not saying all, for some persons, maybe that's the only day that you are being so nice and sweet to the students. You brought sweets, or you brought something, that you brought rewards and all of these things to give to them. But it should not be the case, educators, that we are bribing our students to behave a particular way. They are students, and you need to exert that influence over them, that they know that, hey, you are a student in my class and you need to behave like such. And you need to come up to the level in which I am now doing the class, so that you are better able to benefit from it. Right? And so some of the times we find that for educators, most of the times, you're bribing the students. Don't bribe them. Teach them, show them, demonstrate to them, and allow them to come up to your level. Right? Another question that I got was, how do you know that you have influence over your students? It's going to be evident. The very way how they behave. You're going to see the tone in which they relate to you. You're going to see their grades. Their grades will improve. Behavior will improve. All of that, you're going to see that something is being done. You're doing something that is positively influencing them. Another thing that we can look at to educators is not only that we may look at grades or how they respond or so on, but you will hear it. You will hear the students talking about, sir, class was nice today. Miss class was nice. I enjoyed this. I did this. I did. Because something is going on. And you know, let me say this to you. A lot of educational leaders, when they hear noise in the classroom, they think that you don't have any classroom control. That's not true. Students have to learn in noise. That is when active learning is taking place. They are talking. I'm not saying that they're going to be constantly talking and shouting and disruptive. But when you pass a classroom and you hear the students laughing, when you hear them say, "A true miss," when you hear them, you know that learning is taking place. Another thing that I need to put very clearly to you educators is that boys learn differently from girls. And so maybe you are in your class and you're trying these tips and you say, but it don't work because the boys are always talking. Don't watch the noise in the market. Watch the output. When you call on them, when you talk with them, are they related? Are they speaking the subject language to you? How is it that they're coming across? Boys learn differently. And so, while the females will be quiet and doing their work, the boys will always be moving, they will always be talking, they will always be saying something. That's just it. That's just them. Really. But they are learning. Check with them and you will notice that something is spewing over. They are really learning. So yes, these are strategies. As I said to you, cooperative learning strategies are excellent strategies. When I learned about it, when I actually did a course in pedagogy and I learned about these different, I'm like, wow, where was this all along? And I'm yet to see it coming across effectively in the teaching learning institutions. These are what student teachers need to be learning, because when they come out into the regular learning environment, into the regular hardcore teaching and learning, these are the things that will help them to come across effectively and to influence their students. Let me also use this opportunity, educators, to say that there are some teachers who believe that, all right, when I come to class, people must just get up. Students, rather, for those who are international, students must just shake up and move up and do. No, if you're not influencing them, you're going to struggle to have them to cooperate with you. That's another key factor to know that whether or not you're having influence. I don't say that they're going to be doing rude things or they're going to be disrespectful, but it cannot be to the point that your presence make them want to run away or to hide or not to talk any at all in class. Yes, when a student comes to my class or when I go to a class, students know that there are some things that they're not going to say and you'll see them pulling up and so on. But when I get to teaching them, they are opening up. Some students don't talk in a teacher's class because they're afraid the teacher shame them or laugh after them. And so I shared my personal experience with you. When I went to high school, I hated a subject. Why I hated the subject? Because I felt as though I was bullied in the class by the teacher. I could not do anything right. I was a country girl. And the other part that I really want to share with you, I cannot share it with you now because that is a part of one of the courses that I do. But that teacher, I lived to see that teacher in my classroom, and I was now the teacher. So you have to be careful, educators, how you come across to your students, how you influence them Today, I am the educator because of my basic school teacher. It was just what she did that made me want to teach. And that was from I was 2 years old. I knew I wanted to be a teacher because of what she did in the classroom with us. And she's long dead, gone. But that influence, that indelible mark is still on me. I'm still carrying that across, and I'm being that to my students because of the influence of a teacher. How is your influence working for you? What is it that you are doing? I was so proud, you know, just this week I was at school and I saw 2 students. One of them I taught for 4 years straight, turned up in a teacher's college uniform. You know the joy that I felt because this was a student I had a conversation with about being a teacher, emulating me, coming back to teach in my subject area. And yes, it is my subject area that she signed up for in teacher's college. That was a proud moment. I have teachers at my workplace that I taught at university, college training. I was their supervisor. And they will tell you all the time, it was because of what you did for me while I was in teacher's college. It's because of how you broke down the complex things and make it simple. It was because of what you shared with us why we are who we are today. So, educators, remember, you are always a teacher for life. I've never yet seen it, or when you're old and on the stick, you are going to be a teacher still. What taste are you leaving on your students? What is it that your students will say about you when they would have moved on and gone? When you have gone out of the classroom, what is it that they would be saying about you? And so, educators, I thank you so much for coming on, being a part of our live session. And I trust that you would have been watching the series, watching the videos. There are courses that will be coming up in short order to help you to position yourself. And you need to get on board, because these are not things that, okay, I have no experience in, or these are just things that I just bloop. These are my actual experiences. I remember when I just started out teaching in the public school system, man, I was under fire because I thought differently from the regular teachers. I wasn't locked in a box. And so when I would do my group test, there were senior teachers who look at me like, are you crazy? You're going mad. Were you here of giving students tests and you're giving them in group? Because I thought differently. And I knew the impact that would have had on a student. I'm not saying that everything that you give them, you're going to give them in a group or so on. No, because you still need to know the individual student. What is it that they're processing? But there must be a moment in time when you're allowing them to learn with their friends, to talk with their friends, to get an answer here or there. Because when they go out there in the working world, when they come up on a solution, when they come up on a problem and they need a solution, they need to go and ask somebody who knows more. A lot of the things that we do, we commit professional suicide when we say, all right, I don't know this, so I'm not going to ask Mr. Tom. I don't want him to feel like I don't know. Hey, me? No, I'm going to Mr. Tom because I don't know, and I want to know because I want to influence my students. So there should never be a time in your life, educators, when you feel like because you don't know, you're inadequate, or you're afraid to go and talk to somebody or to ask somebody for a suggestion or an idea. No, that is what is called network building, team building. I communicate with teachers right across Jamaica. If I don't understand something or I need help, I am going to call. And I'm calling somebody who I know would know. And so it makes me a better teacher. And remember, when you have information, the more you share it, the more it resonates with you, and it helps you too, because you don't have to live by your words. So if you're sharing tips with students or you're sharing tips with a teacher, it's going to call you to action, to do better, to be on the right path, right? And so I just want to thank you so much for your support. We have a new series that is starting on Sunday when we look at standardized assessments, looking at the myths and the facts and how you can better align your students. So educators, thank you once again, and I trust that the tips that were shared with you, you can go back to YouTube and you can watch them, you can use them, you can adopt and adapt to utilize in your own setting, in your context. Go back, look them over, see how they can help you, see how you can twist and turn them to make it suitable for you, and continue this conversation with Strategic Educational Consultancy Services when we start our new series on Sunday, and subsequently would have Strategy Sunday and Analysis Thursday for the next 3 weeks in February. Until then, I am a selfless, dedicated educator on a mission to empower you, educators. Get on board and join the discussion. Thank you so much, and we see you again and again. Thank you.